We have a cloud customer, ISV, or Kaiva, who does just this for customers.
Okay.
They keep 2 copies of all the customers' files on LTFS cartridges in their data center, archivums. They put a 3rd copy in escrow. So what would that enable? So something horrible happened to archivum, you can still go back to the escrow, get all the data back.
Right.
The customer wants all the data back, they can potentially even provide it to them on tape cartridges.
Let me answer it this way. LTFS EE, everything that you move to EE is self-describing both from the files on the tape, but from the namespace from whence it came.
Right.
So if your question was, I want to have some disk over here and I'm going to mirror it to another mount point, is that mount point, do I have to do anything special to bring that back up? And the answer in that case would be no. So in other words, if your whole system melted down and all the files you wanted were sitting on the GPFS, LTFS tapes, you could carry those tapes to another place, put them into an LTFS EE environment, and import them in, and it would recreate the namespace from whence they came. But as far as like bringing up a GPFS environment, there is something that I don't know enough about called SOBARs or something. It's a feature of GPFS that will let you create a snapshot of the inodes and the metadata associated with it, specifically aimed at what you were talking about. The Fuse component is a part of the standard Linux distribution. It's an open source part of Linux. It is a facility that makes it easy to integrate file systems into Linux without having to go modify the kernel. And that's what we used. It's the fundamental part of the LTFS single drive edition. That code is also the same code that's in LE, which is underneath LTFS Enterprise Edition. Okay. IBM has a device driver for the IBM drives, and that device driver has some features in it unique for IBM, like control path failover, and some of the things that we do in our automation is inherent in that device driver. So of course our version of LTFS uses that device driver so that we can take advantage of those features, which are automation features for our products. Someone else doing the same thing would take the device driver that we use and put in their own in their case. And we've done nothing to prevent anybody from doing that. I mean, HP takes it and modifies the single source code and puts in their device driver, and Quantum did the same, and Oracle's done the same on their code. They replaced their our device driver with theirs. In fact, that's all outside of LTFS, because all LTFS does is create a mount point on the server. The NFS or SIFS and Samba, all that kind of stuff is above that. This way, I think if you look historically, we've made a series of announcements over the past. We did a 1 terabyte cartridge, I forget when it was, back in, you'd have to go look it up. And then we did a 10, I think is what it was. Typically, it's about a 6-year time frame between a technology demo and when it ends up in a product roadmap, if you go back and look historically. And I would probably, I guess, we'd be similar to that.
Single drive edition was open source, free download and use, and that's what's standard across the LTO consortium.
Still available.
It's still available. Mac OS, Linux, and there's a Windows version. Many of the M&E ISVs we work with have implemented only that, or in some cases they've been implemented. They already had library management code of their own, so they took subroutines out of the single drive edition and used those. You have to go through your IBM sales rep or business partner who will sell you a software license.
Okay.
The software is installed. We have a minimum configuration basically on an X series open server.
It has to be on an X series.
It one running Linux.
Okay.
Yeah. You put the software on it, that becomes a full-fledged member of your GPFS cluster. You need one per GPFS cluster. You can add more at decreasing prices for subsequent nodes to the same GPFS cluster for performance reasons.